Welcome back to the second stage number 2, squeezing the challenge. This stage is vital to generate ideas that not only unique but also solve the problems. And it has 3 steps. The first is reverse assumption, second is the cherry split, and the third is mapping your challenge. What is meant by squeezing the challenge? Before you start looking for ideas, you need to know what your goal is. This stage will help you to identify worthwhile business problems and convert them into specific challenges to be solved. A problem is nothing more than an opportunity in work clothes. And any successful business person pays attention to problems because for every problem, if you can solve the problem, you can gain money. So problems are equal opportunities. These opportunities become productive challenges. Ideas sometimes grow out of irritations, like the pearls that grow when an oyster is irritated by grains of sand inside its shell. And there is an old cliché like, this is the best thing ever invented since the sliced bread. So what is the story of sliced bread and why I'm telling you here? Few people in early 900s were bugged by slicing their own bread. But one of them was Otto Friedrich Reuter. Hopefully I'm pronouncing his name in the correct way. He invested 16 years. Yes, he spent 16 years trying to find and invent an automatic bread slicers. Despite his poor health, lack of enthusiasm from the industry, like why would you make sliced bread? In 1930, he had an automatic slicer, and in 1933, about 80% of the bread purchased were pre-sliced. So his drive was not money, but his drive was a problem and a challenge of creating a workable bread slicers and aversion to slicing his own bread, because he was bugged by using a knife to slice his own bread. Usually it's not unique and it's not regular. Sometimes he slices a big slice and sometimes it's a very thin slice. So he wants some consistency. That's why he created the automatic sliced bread machine. So squeezing the challenge is just dividing your challenge and make it only a question. Divide it in sub-problems, solve these sub-problems one at a time. Ask who else, how else, why else. A helpful technique of that is to reverse assumption. Reversing your assumptions will broaden your thinking. You may often find yourself looking at the same things as everyone else, but if you just twist it the other way, you will see completely different things. For example, in what ways may I increase my sales? You can reverse that into, in what ways may I ruin my sales? That may initiate like a sequence of series of good ideas. I'll tell you an example. It's not written, but it's from my head. And sometimes when I have a new product, I don't know how to sell it. So I ask myself, how can I not sell that? Well, I can say it's only an hour, so it's short. You don't need this short time. You need something which is 12 or 15 hours. So now I see it like it's a negative, but then, okay, that's half an hour. I can change this half an hour into, I'll give you a shortcut of exactly what you need to do without the fluff, without so many talking, so many words. So that is how you reverse the assumption. The second step in the second stage of the Basti method is the cherry split method, which is once you have a broad idea of what you are trying to find, narrow the objective and splitting the challenge, splitting the problem. For example, imagine trying to find an address, you know it's in Montreal. If you know but it will be such a challenge, right? An address in whole Montreal. But if you know that it was in the west of old Montreal, it would be easier to find, right? Because you have sorry about that sound, because you have narrowed the area of your search. Exactly the same. When you are solving a big problem, divide the big problem and split it into sub-problems will help you see each sub-problems alone and make your brain work better on that. The third step or the third technique you can use in squeezing the challenge is mapping the challenge. It's the same as splitting, but when you are doing mapping, your mind will flow easier than when you are writing. For example, here, please see the screen. For here in the middle is marketing consultant service. Okay, I have 3 main aspects of it, like targets of influence, promotional, referrals, targets of opportunity, and then I'll divide each one of them, further division, and so on until it's really cannot be splitted anymore. But mapping is not only splitting the problem, it's really splitting everything you can think of about the problem. Maybe you can think of a solution and then mapping the solution. Okay, don't panic. Still we are preparing for the thinking, which is the third stage. But for now, if you know exactly what is your problem and divide it into sub-problems, you will then, and your brain is really active in trying to think, then the third stage we will find really unique ideas and applying the tapping and thinking lessons. So see you in the next stage. This video was all about the stage number 2, which is squeezing the challenge. We have seen the technique like reverse the assumption and cherry split your problem and try to map each sub-problems and the big problems. So that's next to the third stage with the tapping and thinking. So see you then.